An extraordinary incident occurs to a farmer when his expectant goat delivers what appears to be a human child. He is overtaken by fear and shock upon the realization of what transpires next. The backdrop of Jeremiah's farm emitted an almost palpable tranquility on a still morning. As the morning dew gently clung to the plants and the sunrise breeze moved through the treetops, the 63-year-old farmer was a dedicated animal breeder, ambling toward the barn carrying a pail of feed for his sheep, cattle, and notably Milky, the expectant goat, who eagerly waited for him. The way the animals connected with Jeremiah's arrival was nearly magical. It seemed as if they comprehended that he introduced not just nourishment, but also affection and devotion. Under his vigilant care, the animals appeared to exude joy in their unique manners, displaying their contentment and satisfaction. "You're always appreciated, old friend." The farmer nourished the expectant goat and extended a comforting stroke of her head, declaring, "You ought to remain resilient so your young one will be robust." The goat with its gentle eyes appeared to grasp every word as it quietly savored its meal. A ray of sunshine in Jeremiah's existence was the eagerly awaited birth of the baby goat, particularly following the tragic disease outbreak that wiped out much of his herd, leaving him with only a handful of sheep, cows, and goats. The farmer saw the expansion of his small animal family as a strategy for overcoming the challenging times and paving a path for a new beginning. Therefore, the arrival of the young goat was a much-needed boost of hope and revitalization. Jeremiah allowed himself to reminisce about happier times, visualizing the barn brimming with life again and the joyful sounds of his animals echoing in the air. Every animal held a special place in his family. Thus, the arrival of the new baby goat was a cause for a festive celebration. The old man took time to ponder over the unexpected routes his life had navigated as he roamed the barn tending to his livestock. He realized that despite adversities, there were reasons to be hopeful, as nature has its ways of recovery and restoration. The working day seemed to stretch long, encompassing everything from caring for the livestock to running the farm. But the elderly man was unfazed. Each day was a blessing and an opportunity to indulge in what he cherished. Despite being solitary, he felt a profound connection with the land bequeathed by his parents. The farm was an extension of his being, not merely a dwelling place. His usual activities unfolded amid sprawling pastures and a substantial barn, teeming with different animals, which he saw as his friends. After his wife Martha passed away, the barn became his sanctuary. The creatures he tended to quickly transform from mere animals into allies. They provided companionship and an empathetic ear to his solo musings under the wide sky that blanketed his property. However, then arrived a new hardship. Hard times had already plagued this unfortunate man. A terrible strike hit him the previous year when his primary source of revenue, his cornfield, was ravaged by a pestilence that wiped out approximately 40% of his land and livestock. This calamity deeply distressed Jeremiah. Tears representing his heartache permeated his daily strolls through the once lively fields he cherished in the following mornings. His equilibrium disrupted, and feeling overwhelmed, he pondered, "How will I ever survive this?" His favorite goat, Milky, was expecting, shining as a beacon of positivity amidst his sorrow and struggles. The anticipation of a newborn goat seemed like a harbinger of a promising future, a new beginning. He tenderly stroked the goat's coat and whispered in a cautiously hopeful voice, "Things will get better." Jeremiah anxiously yet optimistically looked ahead to Milky's birthing. However, as the days rolled on, odd occurrences began. Realizing it typically takes around 150 days for a goat to gestate, he anxiously counted down to the momentous event on his calendar. Yet when the birth date arrived and Milky showed no signs of labor, fear started creeping into the farmer's heart. Peering at Milky's swollen abdomen, he wondered, surely it's beyond her due date. Awakened one morning by the bleating of the goat, which signaled labor after months of waiting, Jeremiah felt a blend of anticipation and anxiety. His heart pounded as he rapidly navigated his way to the barn. The urgent bleating indicated that the awaited time had arrived, the advent of a new epoch for him and Milky. The long-anticipated moment was here. But then, The sight that greeted him petrified the elderly man. Milky, the goat, his cherished companion, lying on the floor as the visibly upset animals around her mirrored his shock and trepidation. "My dear Milky, please hang in there. I'll be right back." "It's time," he declared. As chaos was on the horizon, Jeremiah hurried back to his home, his heartbeat pounding with an engulfing wave of urgency and apprehension. His steps were so swift that they barely touched the ground. He gathered whatever he deemed helpful to Milky, such as blankets and warm water. The notion of introducing a new member to their family left him swimming in a sea of emotions. With an optimistic countenance, he repeatedly murmured, "Finally," almost as though it was a chant. Brightness filled his eyes at the sight of the young goat, symbolizing the rejuvenation and fresh start he'd always yearned for. However, reality triggered another scenario as he returned to the barn, caring tenderly for Milky and her baby. The chaos hung in the air as the delicate yet determined sound of a human baby's cry echoed. "What on earth?" The caretaker froze, seemingly going entirely berserk with happiness. Yet here was an undeniable fact: a human baby, progressing slowly as if paralyzed, his legs shivering with exertion. The minuscule human form was nestled beside Milky, trembling with every whimper. The tender and perplexing sight of the doe licking her baby left Jeremiah gobsmacked. But how could this be? In utter perplexity, he voiced the question. Regaining his senses from the initial shock, Jeremiah swiftly sprung to the baby's assistance. Posing a question to Milky in a stammering tone, he asked, "How did you manage this?" His disbelief was escalating with the sudden responsibility of nurturing a human baby. He gently enveloped the little one in a blanket and began cleaning him with the warm water he had brought. His heart fluttered with a blend of marvel and apprehension as he attended to the baby. A flurry of thoughts whirled around in his mind as he cared for the child. It finally made sense as to why Milky's delivery was overdue. But the question remains, how? How could a goat possibly give birth to a human baby? An enigma was before Jeremiah, seemingly defying the laws of nature. With an unquenchable thirst for answers, he turned his attention to the goat, trying to decrypt this mystery. At this point, the old farmer stumbled upon something even more surprising. What unfolded was beyond his wildest imagination. The enormity of the extraordinary situation that destiny had thrust upon him was too overwhelming for his heart, and he was swamped with a myriad of emotions. His gaze found Milky's, who was undoubtedly expecting, despite the unusual happenings. Milky was unperturbed even with the unborn kid, ready to welcome a human child into this world. The harrowing reality of a forsaken child hit him like a sledgehammer blow. Whether it was out of sheer contempt or a desperate attempt to leverage the well-known compassion of the farmer, cradling the infant in his arms, the farmer, in haste, retreated from the shed, which had been forever a symbol of life and its renewal. Every crease on his lined face told a story of his bewilderment, and the devastating cries of the baby echoed like a raging storm within him. "Somewhere nearby, your mother must be," he said, his tired eyes flickering with a glimmer of hope. Armed with nothing but his firm determination and mounting concern, Jeremiah ventured into the cornfield, his voice echoing between apprehension and faith, calling for the infant's mother. "Can I say hello? Is anyone here? I have your baby. Please show yourself." His words faded into the vast expanse of the farm. As he meandered through the cornfields, he reflected on how drastically his life had shifted. He felt wholly unprepared for parenthood, and the thought of assuming the role scared him at his advanced age of 63. His dearly departed wife, Martha, whose absence was keenly felt, flooded his conscience. "My dear Martha, how would you suggest I handle this?" he mused silently. "What would you do?" he thought, picturing her holding the baby with affection. He was struck with grief over the thought of anyone abandoning such a helpless being and struggled to comprehend the magnitude of the situation unfolding before him. His search for understanding led him toward the storehouse. He had kept the year's bounty here, which might now be masquerading as a sinister secret. His body shivered at the sight of the trail of blood leading inside the storage structure. With mistrust brewing in his heart, Jeremiah approached with caution. His apprehension gave way to fear as he pondered the potential horrors within. Then he spotted her, a young woman cowering in one corner, evidently terrified, her voice trembling. "Please don't harm me," she pleaded. The elderly man replied in a gentle, shaky voice, expressing the burden weighing heavily on his heart. "Miss, I assure you I will not harm you. I only came here to return your child. He needs his mother." His demeanor silently vowed to protect the woman and her baby, going above and beyond in their service. For the elderly individual, the beginning of a new phase in his life was embedded within the boundaries of the secluded storage dwelling. An unforeseen surprise in his life entangled itself with the destiny of these two struggling beings, destined to influence his life in unimaginable ways. Noticing the young lady's weakness, exhaustion, and visible injuries, Jeremiah understood the need for immediate action. He cajoled her, "Come, let's get you to the house and look after your injuries." Recognizing the precariousness of her circumstances, she was, however, skeptical of the potential implications. "I give you my word, you are safe with me." With trust-infused eyes, he implored her to come with him. She was barely able to move, so alongside the infant, Jeremiah offered her steady support. The path to the house was a manifestation of the direness and exigency of the circumstance. When finally settling her in the guest room, Jeremiah put in all his efforts to make her feel secure and comfortable. He arranged a makeshift crib for the baby, covering it with warm blankets and establishing a snug cocoon for the baby. Taking a shower and donning Martha's old clothes, which surprisingly fit her just right, the woman began to feel invigorated. Gratitude welled up within her for the kindness of the aged man and the rejuvenation that the clean clothes brought her. "Sir, I really don't know how I'll ever be able to return your favors," she said, her eyes shimmering with tears. Without a thought, she began nursing her hungry baby, her eyes brightening up as she watched her little one feed. A moment of unadulterated love and connectivity, a bond that even adversities couldn't shatter. It was evident that she wished for her son to stay with her. As Jeremiah observed, mixing feelings of bewilderment and intrigue, he asked her why she had left her baby behind. She began her tale, her voice shaking. Louise had thought that her son would have a safer abode at Jeremiah's farm, a man well known for his kindness. Foreseeing a future with nothing to offer her child and nowhere to go, she thought her son would have a better life there. Being alone and desolate were the reasons for her choosing the barn as a sanctuary to give birth. She banked upon Milky, the goat, to provide her newborn with essential warmth. But after escaping, frail and overwhelmed, she found herself unconscious in the warehouse. Upon hearing her circumstances, Jeremiah assured her that he would give her all the support necessary. "Take all the time you need to recover right here. You and your little one can decide what's best when you're fit enough," he consoled her, adding, "Simply rest and don't hurry. There will always be a secure space for your recuperation and contemplation of the future." That night, an unexpected tranquility fell over the farm. This peaceful atmosphere enabled the man to drift into a warm, cozy sleep, a feeling that had been foreign to him for quite some time. He was enveloped by a profound sense of fulfillment, realizing he was no longer in solitude. The sudden appearance of Louise and her baby Charlie had given rise to a new phase of joy and revitalization in his life. Their company brought contentment to the older man, a sense of peace he hadn't experienced since the passing of his wife, due to the void of loneliness that had consumed him. His affection for Louise and toddler Charlie grew and transformed into deep, honest love. The child was cherished as if he were his grandchild, while Louise became a daughter figure. Happiness and vitality returned to the home that once echoed only with the sentimental memories of old times. In every smile and loving glance exchanged between mother and toddler, Jeremiah saw a glimpse of his dear Martha. It felt as if she had orchestrated this meeting to restore the joy that had long been missing from his life. The surprises, however, didn't stop there. Their goat Milky, after an unusually long pregnancy, gave birth to 2 baby goats. This delightful revelation more than compensated for the extended wait and livened up the farm even more. Jeremiah saw these new lives as signs of happiness aligning for them. His cornfield, once ravaged by disease, was now recovering and looking promising for a plentiful harvest. With the animals on the farm multiplying, It was clear that a new era was on the horizon. Following the joyful birth of the baby goats, Jeremiah, grateful for all the unexpected blessings he had received, asked Louise and Charlie to permanently stay with him. This effectively marked the end of his lonely days. He had a new family whom he loved as his own. He had the privilege of watching his grandchild grow, surrounded by nature and animals. Louise, in turn, respected and adored Jeremiah like a father because of the kindness and attention he showered on them. When it was time for Jeremiah to leave and join his wife, he passed away peacefully in his farm, leaving it to Louise and Charlie. He felt contented knowing that he had left behind a legacy full of love and care. He belonged to a family bonded by affection, not genetics. Leaving behind a prosperous ranch and a devoted family, his path of kindness and unwavering affection led him to join Martha. After observing the first narrative above, do you have reflections to share? Feel free to express your views in the comment section below. Now let's delve into another comparable tale. A young female left the medical team in confusion when she arrived at the healthcare facility in the throes of childbirth and eventually delivered a pair of twins. The deep background behind this unusual and enigmatic incident remained an unanswered question. The mundane routines of the doctors at San Loren Hospital were joltedly disrupted when worried parents, Walter and Mary, burst into the emergency room, pleading for assistance. The woman cried out in desperation, "Someone assist my child!" The stressful cries of their 8-year-old daughter, Sylvie, echoed through the crowded hallway as they carried her in. "Urgently help her! She's in labor!" were the father's frantic appeals for support. As the mother tried to soothe her young daughter, whose remarkably large abdomen was a source of worry, the healthcare workers paused in their tracks, their faces showing their disbelief. For them, the sight of a pregnant child was highly unusual. Due to the critical nature of the problem, they acted without delay. Suddenly, a nurse called out, "Let's transport her to the obstetrics department immediately." As she guided the gurney rapidly through the corridors, holding her child's hand and trying to offer reassurance amidst the bedlam, Mary followed closely. "Pacify yourself, my darling. Everything will work out," she promised, considering the severe and peculiar situation. As they hastily took Sylvie to the childbirth room, the doctors prepared her for a possible C-section. The doctor announced the requirement of an ultrasound to verify her condition, which the nurses got ready for. Confronted with the possibility of significant problems and upset over their child's potentially hazardous situation, Sylvie's parents were visibly concerned. "My sweet, there's no need for distress," she reassured her child, despite her own worries for her young one. Mary courageously expressed her feelings, assuring the medical team that they'd do all that was necessary to facilitate a successful C-section if a natural birth wasn't feasible. While the physician attended to the child, the nursing unit quickly readied the surgical equipment and prepared the operation theater. Amidst the child's cries of distress, she was provided medication to dull her discomfort. The medicine started to work, and the child began to feel some relief. She clung tightly to Sylvie's hand. Her parents remained at her side, offering comforting words as the medical team arranged for the C-section. But Sylvie was hurriedly whisked away, causing her distraught parents to voice their concerns as they shed tears of worry. With a trembling voice, the mother implored the doctors for immediate assistance, questioning where they were taking their daughter and urging them to help because she was indeed in labor. The doctor, however, stressed the importance of first verifying the child's condition, as her evident pregnancy still needed to be confirmed due to her young age. An outraged father reiterated his daughter's situation, asserting that his daughter was expecting and accused the doctors of unnecessary delay. The nurses were hurriedly arranging for an ultrasound in the examination room. A scenario that was normally cool and unhurried suddenly turned into one filled with pressure and anxiety. Sylvie's parents couldn't hide their surprise as they urged the doctors to reconsider the delay for the C-section, arguing about their daughter's evident discomfort. Mary voiced out her concerns, urging the doctors to pay attention to Sylvie's pain, while Walter could only acquiesce nervously. The room suddenly went quiet as the cooling gel was applied to Sylvie's enlarged belly. Apart from the occasional moans from Sylvie as the pain relief started to wear off, and the irregular beep of the monitor, there was an eerie silence. The doctor carefully adjusted the probe, rendered speechless by the incredulous images on the screen. Like a thunderbolt, the unexpected news was revealed. The child was indeed pregnant, but not just with one child, but twins. An emergency blood test confirmed it. She was, in fact, pregnant. "My God, she is pregnant," the doctor exclaimed, turning towards the stunned parents. In quest for an explanation, the strong maternal figure's authoritative guidance ceased further questioning. "My offspring requires an urgent C-section," she declared with rapid intensity. Her voice mask scarcely concealed her fear of losing her offspring and her twin grandchildren, knowing the fact that her progeny was incapable of natural twin delivery. Rapidly, the young one was prepared and taken to the operation theater. The medical team, with meticulous precision, carried out their duties, as an air of optimism began to replace fear. The tears that welled in everyone's eyes when the newborn's cries filled the room were evidence of such feelings. Despite exhaustion, Sylvie smiled, consumed with relief and profound affection, as the sounds of her children breathing new life resonated in the room. With a trembling voice, she embraced her newborns, whispering words of gratitude. Witnessing their grandchildren for the first time, her parents embraced each, their tears mirroring joy, yet also bafflement. The medical team was left puzzled, exchanging glances drowned in wonder regarding a female pregnancy. Queries started to echo throughout the hospital as the news spread quickly. A riddle whose answers seemed elusive had hospital officials and patrons alike pondering. To unravel the mystery surrounding the girl's shocking revelation, we must revisit a significant day in the family's life that would forever alter their existence. On a beautiful Saturday morning, Sylvie made her way into the living room, nervously clutching a tiny, elaborately wrapped gift. Mary and Walter, nestled on the sofa, relishing their hot beverage while watching television, turned their gazes in anticipation, sensing the gravity of the impending revelation. The young offspring held out the package to her parents, muttering nervously, "I have a surprise for you." Taking possession of the gift, the parents delicately unwrapped the ribbon, a blend of awe and anticipation in their hearts. Upon opening the package, they were greeted by two tiny baby shoes, nicely tucked away on a smooth satin cloth. The room's tense silence was shattered the second they let out a gasp, one filled with surprise and joy. Unable to contain her excitement, the mother sprang up and exclaimed, "Are you truly expecting?" Tears of joy glistening in her eyes. The father, resonating with the same joy and emotional surge, couldn't hold back his tears as he embraced his spouse and Sylvie. Sobbing gently, Sylvie nodded in confirmation, tears of joy spilling from her eyes. She softly touched her abdomen, picturing the small life quietly developing within her, while her parents enthusiastically connected with relatives to share the exciting news. She envisioned a future teeming with laughter and joy, already feeling a profound affection for her unborn child. However, the brief euphoria would soon evolve into an unexpected complication. The doctor's face switched from cheerful to stunned at the discovery that his pregnant patient was an 8-year-old girl during the initial ultrasound visit. His reaction was initial disbelief followed by mounting concern. His gaze remained fixed on Sylvie and her parents, his mouth opening and closing as he struggled to find appropriate words. "This is illogical. How are you as parents so stoic in handling this?" His voice quavered as he cautiously lifted the phone, with the intent to inform law enforcement, but paused at the parents' quiet confidence. Looking at each other, they responded in calm yet resolute tones, revealing a truth that contradicted visible evidence. She is actually 32. This revelation drastically shifted the doctor's perception. Instantly, he put down the phone. A woman trapped in a child's physique had been blessed with an eagerly awaited miracle, transforming what seemed an ethically straightforward situation into a conundrum. "Wait, what?" the doctor gasped, visibly shocked, struggling to digest the revelation. Regardless of her youthful exterior, Sylvie was a 32-year-old woman living with an extraordinary medical condition. As an infant, she had a brain tumor which, although treated successfully, damaged her pituitary gland. This damage halted her development at the tender age of 8, as this gland is responsible for growth hormones. Seeking to clarify the situation, Sylvie's parents began unraveling their daughter's narrative. "Sylvie has harbored the ambition to be a mother since her childhood," said Walter, his voice trembling. "Despite the numerous hurdles she knew she'd face, she always believed she could fulfill this dream." From the examination table, Sylvie narrated her life story to the still astonished doctor. "Doctor, it's not easy living with this condition," she added in a calm but firm voice. "Everything is more difficult for me, especially when it comes to relationships, because despite my appearance, I am an adult, not a child." She looked down, touching her expectant abdomen, sadness lingering in her eyes. "I witness your movements every day. It harbors pain. I've accepted my fate of not finding a husband," she stated, pausing for a deep, composed breath. "But nobody can take away my ability to be a mother, no matter how sad the circumstances." Her voice radiated resilience, the acceptance of her reality without wavering. With the surprise subsided, her parents endorsed her decision. The physician, on receiving end of her testimony, started to grasp the depth of Sylvie's courage and resilience. Sylvie's mother explained the journey their daughter took towards artificial insemination, which was entwined with innumerable legal formalities. Establishing her ability to make personal decisions at her legal age, Sylvie had to cross medical and legal barriers, from obtaining medical consent to navigating fertility facilities. "Our daughter had to confront relentless challenges," Walter voiced, describing the process she went through to justify her readiness for motherhood and her age. The enormity of Sylvie's journey was depicted in the steady gaze she maintained, agreeing to the hardships she had weathered, filled with numerous frustrations and discomforts. However, each cleared obstacle brought her a step closer to her dream. As Sylvie narrated her journey, the doctor's admiration for her swelling. Her biography became a testament to courage and determination in the face of complicated medical ailments and immense tenacity. Sylvie eventually underwent the artificial insemination process after overcoming countless legal barriers. The reality of expecting a child, which had been her lifelong dream, turned out to be far more miraculous than she had imagined. Feeling a life growing inside her was an incredibly emotional experience. The sight of a smile broadening across her face with each faint stir in her belly was captivating. She spent ample time bonding with the unborn child, narrating stories, singing melodies, and envisioning their collective future. At each milestone of her pregnancy, she expressed her joy and awe, frequently penning them down in her diary, illustrating her aspirations for her baby. Documenting the faint kicks that responded to her voice, she wrote, "Every stir I feel reinforces my belief in the impossible transforming into reality." A heartfelt reflection on a serene afternoon. In the unimaginable complexity of her journey, Sylvie discovered she was pregnant with twins during a routine appointment. This revelation was greeted with joy by some and concern by others, considering the potential complications. Sylvie's distinctive physical attributes made a natural birth an impossibility, necessitating a cesarean delivery to ensure the safety of both Sylvie and the twins. Her delivery was diligently scheduled for November to cater to her unique needs. However, the twins seemed to have plans of their own, as Sylvie began to experience contractions in mid-October, 2 weeks before the anticipated date. This occurrence signaled the twins' eagerness to enter the world sooner than expected. Amid the ensuing scramble, Sylvie and her parents set out for the predetermined maternity clinic, only to find it fully occupied. Without wasting time, they hurried to another hospital, fortunate enough to find room. The medical team immediately sprung into action, preparing Sylvie for an unscheduled cesarean. Despite the extraordinary circumstances, the hospital staff was taken by surprise. There was a palpable sense of relief and joy in the operating room when the twins finally made their entrance. Sylvie, though exhausted, was overcome with happiness. Her tears of joy mingled with the newborn's first cries. The grandparents were equally delighted, relishing the safe delivery of their newest family members. Sylvie's remarkable journey, punctuated by its unconventional twists and turns, quickly spread throughout the hospital. While her experience was anything but typical, Sylvie's maternal love for her children knew no boundaries. Lauded for her courage and tenacity, Sylvie inspired not only the medical professionals, but also her co-patients. She embraced her role as a mother with grace and happiness, serving as a beacon of inspiration to all who knew her. Living with her supportive parents, Walter and Mary, Sylvie found renewed purpose in life. Walter and Mary, who are now doting grandparents, provided unwavering support for their daughter and her young twins. Their support extended beyond material needs to emotional stability and a love so profound it became the twins' bastion. As the twins grew, displays of affection and warmth were a common sight. Despite her petite figure and youthful appearance, Sylvie showcased a remarkable ability to attend to her children's physical and emotional necessities. Her resilience and determination to provide for her children illuminated her extraordinary capacity for motherhood. Every day was an exciting exploration with Sylvie, as she shared stories and lessons reflecting her wide-ranging wisdom and life experience. Her children's curiosity and understanding grew as they aged. Alongside their awareness of their mother's unique medical condition, Sylvie treated their potential concerns with care and fortitude, mirroring the love and resolution that guided her journey. "One day when you're as old as I appear," she told them, "many things will puzzle you, but remember, I will always be your mother." She expressed this with a serene yet resolute voice, knowing that the additional layer of love and explanation contributed by the twins' grandparents was crucial for their understanding. Their maternal influencers ensured family resilience amid obstacles by providing unwavering support for their daughters and grandchildren alike. As the story of Sylvie's life gained popularity over time, the courageous woman emerged as an inspiring symbol, altering public perception and promoting acceptance of previously misunderstood genetic illnesses. What originally incited astonishment and criticism gradually evolved into acceptance with Sylvie's rise to prominence. Her efforts in raising awareness of her condition and advocating for others while being an attentive mother were renowned. "I may be bound by this body," she often remarked during interviews, "but my spirit has never known constraints." She inspired listeners to look beyond the exterior and cherish the person within. Sylvie's joy grew to tremendous proportions as her twins matured in a nurturing, empathetic environment. The atypical yet exceptional route she took bestowed every day with deep significance. Sylvie's influence contributed to the evolving acceptance of diversity in society, reflected by the abundant support she and her children received. What's your take on these narratives presented above? Feel free to share your views in the comments section. If you have any queries, leave them in the comments. If you enjoyed our video, do subscribe to our channel. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and help spread our channel to the world. Our narrative ends here today. Stay tuned for next time.